Number five. Some German Mennonites are living in Mexico, and there's a lot of stiffness and then resentment in the movie Silent Light. This is one of those miserable kinds of dramas that you might find yourself in the mood for. It's amazing how such a stiff movie can be made, but it's all realistic given the community. The filmmaking is appropriate here, and even necessary to get the proper vibe. It's a movie from 2007 that was restored for the Locarno Film Festival. I had never heard of it before, and at first was frustrated that my screener seemed to pause and stop 20 minutes in. This happened twice. But by the third time, the issue had been resolved, and I finally saw the rest of this miserable movie, which I enjoyed in the right way. I can recommend it for you today. If you want to learn about culture, sometimes that means watching stuffy people make the same mistakes that non-stuffy people make. I'm sure if this movie had made, I'm not sure. Sorry, I'm not sure if this movie made a splash in its day, but now is the time to check it out. I probably will never seek this one out again, but it worked perfectly fine for me. And there is a particular person that this will work for, but maybe more people would appreciate it given their energy that day and their desired expectation for such a film. Number four, Anno Uno fits in my viewing context uh, for Roberto Rossellini with his Socrates movie. Both films came out in the 70s, and it's a period where it's great that the man was still making movies. In my opinion, the Socrates film is way better. It feels purposeful, and it feels like a statement on life, society, and the moment being made it being made beyond just a TV movie done by a guy whose glory days are behind him. In Anno Uno, we get a mostly talking heads movie with lots of political context. We follow a political career in a post World War II context, but it feels like going through the motions rather than something special. Yes, it's great that a relatively obscure Rossellini movie is getting a restoration, and his contribution to the medium of cinema cannot be overstated. So if he made commercials about shoe polish, they should be restored in 4K as well. But it's just not mind blowing. And it's a generic biopic that will not shock you at any point unless you don't know anything about this region during this period. Still, it's fun to fill in the Rossellini gaps, and it's nice that the Locarno Film Festival would screen this restoration. Screening of old movies in any venue of consequence is positive, and this movie is worthy of that respect. Number three, The Legend of the Happy Worker comes to the Locarno Film Festival, and the late David Lynch has a production credit on it. It certainly feels a part of Lynch lore, which fans will cling to due to his death. It feels like a Coen Brothers-esque Western as well. It's just darn quirky and pretty much a fun time. It's not peak Lynch lore, but what can you do? It's not top. It's not like David Lynch got to direct this. There's one piece of visual fetishism tied to the Lynch lore of the variety of Twin Peaks: The Return, because it lies there in some. And some of you are going to be so stoked to know that I cannot tell you what it is. The visual works, the visuals work, especially now that Lynch is dead. We get plenty of younger actors attached to the familiar curmudgeon faces. So the legacy lives on, I guess. It's a comedic movie, but nothing really lands as hysterical to me. I appreciated the quirky angles. I think that this is a pretty solid movie, but it's hard for me to get overly enthusiastic about the whole thing. It gets to be a bit of a headache, to be honest. It's like how Blue Velvet shifts from quirky to dark. There's a lot of dramatic relief, but there is a lack of balance here, and it ends up being a bit of a headache from the sugar high. Number two, Mosquitoes is an Italian movie and a coming of age one set in 1997. I would have been 9, but the girls are 8 here, so we are the same vintage. And I could have known these characters. It's nice to see the challenges of growing up in Italy as a kid. The movie is a little chaotic. Maybe growing up in Italy was more intense than Canada back in the 90s. There's a lot of frantic energy, which I like in a coming of age movie. And Italians know how to convey big emotions, perhaps better than anyone. It's not quite 2 hours. And if you vibe with kids, you should be good for the ride. Just be ready to see energetic kids running around in cinematography that captures the vibe. Technically, we get the perspective of how kids see the world. And that's actually a lot of fun, especially when it's a period piece and the vibe is different for me since it's Italian. This is a very solid film festival fare for me. It's an indie sort of story about people from another world, which is familiar enough to follow, but different enough to get some flavor from. Number one, The Fin is an environmental dystopia, which is playing over in Switzerland at the Locarno Film Festival. We get a pretty cool experience that is both familiar but visually engaging. It shows a bunch of beaten up people, some rise to the occasion and try to escape and even fight the totalitarian grip. For the Canadian movie The Well, I mentioned the Canadian factor. I think that's relevant here. We've got the South Korean factor in an environmental hellhole, post-apocalyptic dystopia flick. Perhaps a lot of it has to uh, do be due to geopolitical worries in South Korea, the power moves that China is making, the reckless leadership from North Korea, and of course, fear of the environment can lead to fear of mismanagement of the worst case scenario in that region. That was lingering in my mind after writing about The Well recently. That movie's more static, and this is colorful and chaotic. We have more stability. They have more, perhaps, a more intriguing national cinema. Executive director of the New York Asian Film Festival, Samuel Chamier, told me that the South Korean cinema is not doing well financially, but still here and there, gems like this emerge these days, and that's exciting.